Good morning. Welcome to everybody who's joining us this beautiful, dark November morning. Can you believe it's November already? Gonna wait just a couple of minutes and let everybody jump on board. There y'all come. Good morning, JJ. How are you? It is cool in Dallas today. We have had the most insane weather here the last few weeks. We go from, good morning all of you, we go from raining for days with no letting up, back up into the 90s, and then I think today we're in the 50s, so who knows. I wore a sweater and I have a heater under my desk, but Lord only knows what it's going to look like here in a couple of hours. Texas has schizophrenic weather. We can have the 30s and the 90s all in the same day. I'm not sure if that's common anywhere else in the country, but it certainly is here. Gosh, y'all are jumping on faster than I can keep up with you. Okay, everybody get their coffee ready to go. In talking, I'm just going to jump right in. In talking this week with several of the folks that I've had the privilege of doing the private coaching with, I've noticed a running theme, and then seeing a lot of your posts online, I realized that this is way more common than we probably like to think it is. So I plan to talk about something else this week, but I saw it, and I can't remember whose message it was on the group page Saturday, I believe it was, that made me just kind of got this stuck in my head and I can't get away from it. And so I have discovered that when I feel like God drops something in my head or in my heart, that somebody needs to hear it. And so this may not apply to you, and as always, I'm just talking to you from my heart. I don't have any special medical training. I'm just telling you what I feel and what I see and what I hear talking to so many of you. What I want to talk to you about today is, and I'll get to announcements at the end, is the cost of not just doing Weight Watchers, but the cost of being healthy. And what price are you really willing to pay? Had a good discussion yesterday with some of the moderators, kind of bounced this off of them a little bit. And I am going into this today fully aware that not everyone is going to agree with me. And that's okay. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you. I'm just sharing with you what's on my heart and what I have found to be true for me. You may be completely different, and if so, that's okay. But I'm just going to share with you from my heart. So please take it as that. Don't take it as anything other than that. I keep seeing something right there. I don't know if y'all see that. Anyway, it's probably mascara that. Okay, here we go. There is a difference between legalism and discipline. Legalism in the Christian community, I don't know about others, but in our community, is being so rigid to a set of rules that may or may not really apply anymore, but you're just so rigidly adhering to those rules without grace or without really oftentimes understanding why. Sometimes we get so fearful of what the journey is going to look like for us down the road with our weight loss, that we start equating it to legalism. Okay, just follow me for a minute. The mindset that says, but if you tell me I can never have a donut again, I can't do that. That's not something I can sign up for. Janice, you may check and make sure that your computer isn't turned down or muted. Can everybody else hear me? Y'all, okay. There's a big difference between legalism and discipline. Discipline says, I shouldn't have that donut, so I'm going to be disciplined enough to tell myself, no, I'm not going to have that donut. Does that mean that you can never have it? No, probably not. But you have to be willing to be adult enough to tell yourself, okay, if it's something that's not good for me, then I don't need to have it. One of the things that we like to say in the Weight Watchers community is the thing we like most about, or one of the things that we like most about Weight Watchers, is that nothing is off limits, right? We've all said it. I've said it before. I'm going to throw this out there to you, and I know I'm going to get pushback on this, and I've fretted about it for a couple of days now, but I'm going to propose to you that there may need to be things in your kitchen that should be off limits. There may be things that you have eaten in the past that, in order to achieve a healthy weight and stay there, you may need to say no to. I was listening to a podcast on my way to work this morning, and a lady was talking about growing up overweight. Her family was overweight, her parents were overweight, so she felt like she was genetically disposed to being overweight. And so the doctor she was talking to was walking her through that, saying that's not necessarily so. It just doesn't mean you're going to be overweight. It just means that, you have the DNA that would make it easier for you to be overweight. Anyway, they were talking about that, and they started talking about people who are heavy smokers. And they decide, okay, this smoking is not good for my health, so I need to stop. Most of them, according to this doctor, go cold turkey and stop. Now, so they've decided that the cigarettes are not good for their health. This lady said she went cold turkey and she stopped, and she knows that it was good for her health to do away with that. So she said, I can be around people now who smoke, and the smell of it still, after several years, and I can't remember how many years she said, but she said, still the smell makes me want to have a cigarette. But I know that if I just take one puff, the spiral starts all over again. You may have a food in your kitchen or in your regular diet that is your spiral. Saying no isn't always easy. Sometimes it's really, really hard to say no to that one thing that just calls your name and pulls you in. But if that one thing is what is going to set off a out of control week, that may be your cigarette. That may be the food that you need to say no to and eliminate it from your diet. Am I telling you that you can never have it again? I can't answer that question for you. For you, it may very well be. For someone else, it may be that they can have it occasionally. But if you look back, if you were keeping a record of all of your binges, we'll call them, is there a common food that seems to set off that binge? Is it sugar? Is it pasta? Is it a soft drink? What is yours? What is the thing? Sorry, my voice is acting up. What is the food or drink that causes you to lose control? Bonnie says it's sugar for her. It's sugar for me too. It doesn't matter what form it's in. Sugar can throw me into a tailspin faster than anything else. Chocolate, candy, we all have one. So if you see that that food has the power to throw you completely off track and undo all of your progress and put you into a tailspin that will cause you to have to start all over again, you're undoing all of the progress you've made. Why do we fight so hard to hold on to the freedom to eat that one food? Can an alcoholic have a drink occasionally? I've never been an alcoholic, but the ones I've talked to tell me no. They realize that that's one thing that they can never allow themselves to have again. So in talking to the moderators yesterday, and we went back and forth, I mean, you know, they shared with me that the thing they like most about Weight Watchers is that nothing is off limits. And I agree with that to an extent. But I'm not talking about the food that you can control. I'm talking about the food that controls you. If you can control it, then sure, you can have it occasionally. If it controls you in a negative way, that may not be a food that needs to be on your list of optional available foods or drinks or snacks or whatever it is. See what I mean? Okay. Sometimes what we're willing to pay, the cost, is too high. There are foods that are good for us, and there are foods that are acceptable, and then I think there are foods that should just not even be, it just shouldn't even be. But everybody has their own set of foods, okay? So if the cost to your health is too high, are you really willing to pay that cost for that food? If I could tell you with 100% certainty that, let's say ice cream. I'll just grab something. Okay. And I didn't even notice that somebody said ice cream. Okay. If I could tell you with 100% certainty that eating ice cream 3 times a week was going to cause you to have a heart attack, 100% certainty. But I like ice cream. And my husband likes ice cream. And it's in the freezer. And it calls out to me at night. Would you still eat it? If you knew for sure that it was going to cause you to have a heart attack, would you still eat it? Or would you find the strength deep down inside to say, that cost is too high. I'm not doing that. Okay? What about, what if I could tell you that it was going to cause you to have diabetes? Would you still eat it? I wouldn't. I think there has to be a threshold where we say, you know what? Yeah, I like the donut, and I like the idea of having it every now and then. But if it's going to compromise my health, that cost is too high. I'm not willing to pay that price. I think we all have to do some serious soul searching and look at what we're eating. Is it beneficial for me to be eating that, or is it detrimental to my health? If it's detrimental to my health, the cost is too high. Just because it tastes good, it's still too high. Just because I like it, it's still too high. And that threshold is going to be different for all of us. You may be able to eat ice cream every night and lose weight and never be insulin dependent or borderline diabetic or heart disease. You may be one of those people, and if you are, that's awesome. If you're not, if you're struggling with obesity, if you're diabetic or you're on the verge of diabetes, if you have history of heart disease, or you're going to the cardiologist regularly, you're taking blood pressure medicine, why are we so willing to pay such a high price for 5 minutes of pleasure? I think it's too high a price. If that food is a trigger for you, it should not be a food available to you. Okay, Patty says I just double talked. Sorry if there are foods that you can control. Okay, let me try to explain. That's what I was getting into. If that food is a trigger for you, the price is too high, because it's going to cause you health issues. If not today, it will cause you health issues down the road, because your weight is going to continue to spiral out of control. If you continue to allow that one food to control you instead of you controlling it, it's going to cause health issues. Okay? Am I saying that you could never have it? I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that you have to make that decision. We all have to make a decision. How much is this food costing me, and am I willing to pay that price? Trigger food, all of us have one. Well, most of us have one. I think all of us have one. You may not. You may not think you have one, but I do. If my trigger food is causing me constantly to go off plan, to continue to be in this circle where I start, I stop, I start, I start, you know, you're constantly falling off the wagon because you allow yourself to have that trigger food, then you're doing a number on yourself mentally, you're doing a number on yourself physically, emotionally. So I think we all need to figure out what our trigger food is. And just like someone who battles alcoholism, or has given up smoking, or given up a drug addiction, just like they can't have just one taste, or just one smoke, or just one time, maybe we can't either. Maybe we need to figure out that that's not a food that needs to be available to me anymore. There is an unlimited amount of food choices that we can choose from that are good for us, and there's a huge number of foods we can choose from that are even pleasurable. But if it's going to cause you to never succeed in controlling your health, that's too high of a price to pay. I just don't think I'm willing to pay that price. You have to decide that for yourself. But it's something I really want you to think about this week, especially with the holidays coming up. Am I telling you, if sugar is your addiction, that you shouldn't have any of the desserts at Thanksgiving? I'm not telling you that at all. You have to decide that for yourself. What I'm asking you is, could you be content to just have a taste of the dessert and not have the whole piece? If you can, then I encourage you to have just a taste, especially if you're still trying to lose weight. If you're at maintenance and you're doing fine, okay, great, then you have it. But for those of us who are still trying to lose weight, if having that whole slice of pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving Day is going to cause you to lose all of your momentum for that entire day, or maybe that entire weekend, Is that too high of a price for you to pay? Only you can answer that. Exercise. Not very many of us enjoy it. I hear from people all the time about how much they hate it until they get there and they're doing it. And then actually they decide, you know, that wasn't so bad, I kind of enjoyed it. Exercise causes us to give up a few moments of our time. Sometimes we have to pay for it if you go to a gym. Sometimes we're sore afterwards. Sometimes we're all hot and sweaty and we're around people that we don't know, and you know, sometimes we don't really want to be there. But is that a price you're willing to pay? If I could guarantee you, which I can't, but if I could guarantee you that, you know, 30 minutes of exercise 3 or 4 times a week was going to improve your bones, improve your heart, improve your lungs, improve your skin elasticity as you're losing weight, would you be willing to pay that price? I think that's a price that we should be willing to pay. It's just a few minutes. You're going to sit and pass that time doing something. So how about doing something that's good for us? See, we're really willing to jump on that. Don't tell me I can never have ABC, whatever yours is, again, because that's diet mentality. But we're not so willing to jump on that. But if I just do this 2 or 3 times a week, it's good for me. Do you see the pendulum swing? Okay. We have to decide what's worth it and what's not. And what's worth it to me isn't the same for you. But you need to do some soul searching. And I encourage you to do it before Thanksgiving and even write it out. What am I willing to pay for with this Thanksgiving Day meal coming up? And what am I not willing to pay the price for? Make a list. And whatever you put in that column that you're not willing to pay the price for, make those foods Thanksgiving Day off limits. There's a lot of other foods you can choose from, but from that list, just this one Thanksgiving Day, don't go there. Let yourself end the day knowing that you did something good for yourself. And then maybe after Thanksgiving meal, go for a walk. You don't have to run. You don't have to do a marathon. You don't have to walk for 3 miles. Just go for a walk. Ask everybody there, who wants to go walk? Let's just get out and move around a little bit. We tend to go Thanksgiving Day from the table to the couch. And then we're miserable. Do something different this year. Do it do something that's good for you. Not just because it's always been done. We've never done it that way. We've never gone for a walk on Thanksgiving. Well, start this year. You would be surprised at how many people that are going to be there are maybe thinking, gosh, I just wish that we could go for a walk. I wish somebody would suggest it. So you be the one to suggest it. If you can't go for a walk, then do something to move. I was sharing with one of my partners this week. She can't walk because of some physical limitations, some injuries. And I said, anything that gets your heart rate up is better for you than doing nothing at all. So if you have to put some cans beside your couch, and while you're watching television, every time a commercial comes on, pick those cans up and do some arm lifts, some curls, some presses over your shoulder. Whatever you're able to do to get your heart rate up, that's better than just sitting there doing nothing. And you can do anything during a commercial, right? So do something. Be willing to pay that price. It's not a steep price. It's not going to cost you a lot, but your body will thank you. I promise you, your body will thank you. And ultimately, and we talk about this a lot, you've got to get to the point where you realize that you're worth it. You're worth saying no. You're worth passing on that food that really isn't going to be beneficial. And I'm preaching to me today too. Trust me. You're worth the few minutes of exercise. you're worth making the decision. It's not worth the cost for me to do that to my body anymore. There comes a time when we have to be big enough and mature enough to say, you know what, it's not good for me. I'm not doing it anymore. You have to decide that for yourself. I can't tell you what you can and can't eat. You could go to 5 different doctors and get 5 different opinions on what's the right way to eat. But your body tells you when you're feeding it well and when you're not. It's the acid reflux, the inability to sleep, the difficulty breathing, the feeling like, you know, you're going to throw up, you've eaten so much, the jitteriness from too much sugar, the headaches, if you're like me, from sugar. Our bodies are fearfully and wonderfully made. It will tell us when we're feeding it well. So we've got to get to the point where we're good with feeding ourselves well, and we're okay with telling ourselves no. Don't pay the price when it's too high of a cost. You're worth it. Let me see if we've got about 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to answer some of your questions real quick. Next week, we really are going to talk about how to deal with those family issues that come up with these holiday gatherings. And I'm doing some research now. I'm planning on talking too about does it really matter what we eat and when we eat it? And I think it does. The research I'm doing is definitely telling me it does. But we'll talk about that next week, next Monday. And then I think do we have two more Mondays until Thanksgiving? I don't know. I can't keep track. There's my sister-in-law. What? I don't know. I'm probably rambling now, but yeah, family drama. I have a large family, and some are loud, but we usually don't have drama. We're usually pretty good. Anyway, that's what I'm planning on talking about next week. Those of you who are working with me, I'm looking forward to talking to you this week and hearing about your progress and seeing what we need to do to get you farther along this week. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. We are closing in on our Thanksgiving Day challenge. I meant to look and see exactly, let me look, see exactly how many days we have. I have to get my trusty little legal wheel here. November 22nd, today is the 5th. We have 17 days, just barely over 3 weeks. Are you making it count? Do something good every day between now and then. It'll be here before you know it. I promise. It's sneaking up on us. And then, yes, we will do a 30-day challenge between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so don't worry about, for those of you who need challenges like me, we will definitely have one. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different this time, so my evil mind is plotting, so be prepared. I hope you're ready to join in on me. Denny says sugar is the downfall. Sugar is mine. Sugar is my nemesis. Believe me, I get it. I feel your pain. So I'm learning that sugar is something I just have to say no to. And when I don't, my body sure tells me. Alicia's at the gym right now. Good for you, girl. I need to get up and walk after this and get some steps in before my office gets busy. I'm tracking on my iPhone watch. I'm trying really hard to close those rings at the end of every day. So every time I could get a few steps in, it helps. Marianne, it's easy to settle on the couch. Yes, it is. But there's lots of commercials, and right now there's lots of political commercials, and I'll be so glad when they're over. So get up and move. Do something every time a commercial comes on. That'll teach them. Don't sit there and watch that commercial. Remember, not all of us have family and will be alone. Absolutely. So reach out to each other. If you know someone who doesn't have family during the holidays, maybe invite them over. Maybe be their family for the holidays. Eat to live, don't live to eat. It's just fuel. We have to stop rewarding ourselves with food. It's not a good reward. It's just not good for us to do that. Okay, I'm going to get off of here and get to work and let y'all get about your day. I hope you still love me. I hope I haven't offended too many of you. It's okay for you to disagree with me. Let's just do it nicely and civilly, okay? Have a wonderful week, a wonderful day. I'll try to go back and answer any questions that you may have. And if I miss one, send me a private message. That's always the best way to get me, because I miss a lot of things that come up on the board, especially during the week when I'm at work. I thank you so much for your kindness to each other, and I will see you on the board. Bye.